Let's look at another type of assignments, how to create those assignments. In this video, we'll check out how to create paper and essay assignments for your students to submit. Let's go to our demo of Google Classroom, and I'll show you a few ways to do this. The first one, go to Create, pick Quiz Assignment. I pick Quiz Assignment for all graded things instead of assignment. It's a bit arbitrary. This is just how I do it. And let's call this essay assignment. I don't need the quiz for this one. Let's say I want it to be worth 75 points, and I want it to be due before class next week. So I'll input the start time of class next week. It's for this week's lesson, so I'll put it in the topic for this week. Let's put in some instructions. Write an essay on how you feel about writing essays. In this case, I want all of my students to write their essays in a Google Doc. So I'll hit Create, and it gives me the option to create a Google Doc, a slideshow, a PowerPoint show, a sheet, which is like an Excel spreadsheet, a drawing, which is a freeform drawing app, or a form, which is a quiz. I'm going to pick a doc because this is a paper. It creates a blank Google document. I'm going to title this Essay Assignment, and I can close this. So on here, the next thing I need to pick, right now students can view file. What I want is for each student to have a copy of their own so that they can write their paper in the Google document and I'll receive it in that format. So I would pick Make a Copy for each student. And that will produce a blank Google Doc titled Essay Assignment in each of my students' class drive folders. And it will be titled with their name dash essay assignment. So let's go ahead and hit Assign. And you can see the essay assignment has appeared in this week's class. Each student will have their own version of this template. So I'll show you another way to ask for paper from your students utilizing a different sort of template. And this is something I find very, very convenient. So I like my students to submit papers in APA format with APA citations. So I'm actually going to create the template in my class drive folder. So remember, this is my class drive folder. My students don't have access to things that I put in here. It's just for me to store things for myself. I'm going to open that up, go to New, and pick Google Doc. So this is very similar to making the assignment before. I'm making a Google Doc that my students will each receive an individual copy of. But I'm going to go to this caret, and I have the option of a blank document, like we did before, or from a template. I'm going to click from a template. This just asks, are you sure you want to put it in your Google Classroom folder? And I do. Here, you can see that Google has all kinds of different templates. These are very, very nice for asking for student papers because it ensures that your students are all submitting with the exact same formatting. Formatting is something that can unconsciously and unwillingly influence your grading, and so it's best to receive your assignments with identical formatting from all students. Conveniently, Google has an APA research report. I'm going to pick it. This opens a template automatically that I can then give each of my students a copy of to fill in with their own paper. And you can see there's placeholders, goes all the way through, including an APA citations section for a few different types of citations. So even if you just wanted to grab this page from it, I know a lot of times students have trouble with references, and so it can be useful to give them a template for that. I'm going to use the entire thing. Let's say I want them to write a research paper. Give it a name. I've made my template. I can close this. And you can see that template I made now appears in my Google Classroom folder. Go back to my classroom, hit Create, hit Quiz Assignment. This is graded. Let's say it's worth 75 points like before. Due next week, before class. Add it to this week's topics. Give it a name. And put in some instructions. I like to tell students when I want them to actually use the template itself, instead of making something that looks like the template and then sending that back to me, I want them to literally edit the copy of the template that they get with their name in the title. So here, the thing I want to attach is in my Google Drive, so I'm going to hit Add instead of Create. Add, and I can add from a couple places. I can add from my Google Drive. If I wanted to link a website, I would pick Link. If I wanted to add a file from my computer, like my desktop, I'd pick File. If I wanted to add a video, I'd pick YouTube. Here, it's in my Class Drive folder, so I'm going to pick Google Drive. This opens my personal institutional Google Drive folder, and you can see in my recent documents, since I just made the template, there is my research paper assignment. I'm going to add it. And again, if I send it this way, students can view the version I made, but they don't have one of their own. I want to make a copy for each student to edit. So I'm going to pick Make a Copy for each student. This is a good time to note that if you pick Students Can Edit File, all of the students will be editing one file. This can be very useful for collaborative papers or group work if you want everyone to work on one paper together. Here, I want each student to write their own research paper, and so I'm going to make a copy for each student. Once I'm sure, then I hit Assign. And you can see this assignment shows up in the correct week. And here's the description we wrote for it. In a future video, we'll look at how to grade and give feedback on this type of assignment.